So guys, here we are, MMA UK News, Stoomboy as always. So talking about MMA, so in particular, it's going to be Goliath Fight Series 2. Now, Goliath Fight Series, anybody that saw the first one, absolutely awesome show the Steve Harris and the Goliath team put on. So it was a great venue. Venue was awesome. They're going to be back at the same venue. So obviously it's going to be the the Glen Pavilion in Dunfermline. So that's going to be Sunday, the 6th of November. So as I said, it was an awesome event last time, and this one is absolutely no different. I mean, you've got some of the top amateurs from all over Scotland and further afield are going to be on the card and putting on a display on the 6th of November. So again, there's going to be amateur MMA fights. There's also going to be, I believe, a grappling match or two. So again, there's going to be something there to cater for everyone. So make sure either get a ticket, go directly to the Goliath Fight Series page, or head over to I believe they've got the Instagram page as well, and you'll be able to get all the information about the tickets there. Also, pay-per-view is going to be available again for the event. So again, all the details on the Goliath Fight Series page. So my next guest is going to be on the show that night. So or on that show that day, should I say? It's going to be Joe. Show. Yeah, day show. We love a day show. It means that especially you HMAC boys, you can get up the road and it not be 2 and 3 in the morning. So
exactly, such quite a bonus, to be fair.
Yes. So Joe Peter-Lee, HMAC Inverness, is going to be up against Maximum's Seth Milne. So it's going to be an under 60 kilo MMA bout. So two absolute fantastic young fighters. I'd say great to see a lot of these young kids coming through because this generation is going to take, and I keep saying this every time I do an interview with someone, this generation is going to take combat sports in Scotland to a whole new level. As I said, it's already at a high level at the moment, but these kids are the future. Not just the future, the present and the future. So Joe, listen, absolute pleasure, buddy. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me,
bro.
Yeah, that's an absolute pleasure. As I said, I was about to start doing the interviews because I knew I was going to start doing them like this weekend. So you're the first guy. You're the first one. The main man.
Thank you. I'm honoured.
So how you been? How's everything going with you training?
Yeah, training-wise, going really well. Doing a lot of, well, as you can imagine, coming from a striking background, working on the grappling and everything. Be stupid not to.
Yeah.
But training is going really well. A lot better than expected. Like in every department, in takedowns, in defense, everything's just going a lot better than expected, and that's partly due to the weight cut going smooth as well. Like the weights going off good. There's no stress. It's all going really well.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, HMAC, and again, I always talk about how good HMAC is. I mean, the level of experience that's coming out of HMAC, obviously MMA, grappling, judo, wrestling. I mean, it's an unbelievable level.
Yeah. HMAC is, I personally, I think it's one of the top gyms in Scotland, and I think that's down to the team we have there. We have Judo John. Told John I won't forget him. Ross, obviously, Cage Warriors welterweight champ. Even some of the experienced amateurs like Reggie, he's helped me a lot this camp.
Yeah.
And obviously Jamie McDonald, he's great. He's a great guy, Jamie.
Jamie's an animal, mate. Jamie is an absolute animal. So absolutely love Jamie. I love seeing Jamie. Every time I see him, man, he's hilarious. It's so funny. But yeah,
he's probably one of the funniest guys I've met in a while. But yeah, I would not want to be opposite him in the cage.
And then even the kids. I mean, obviously I was talking to Archie and Ollie just a few days ago, and even Ollie, what's Ollie, like 9-year-old, 10-year-old?
Ollie's a savage, man,
and he's already talking about doing MMA fights. So
some of those kids are absolute savages. Ollie's got like a Mike Tyson neck going on. His neck is huge. I don't know how his neck is so big for a 9-year-old. It's crazy. It don't make sense. Another one, Neve Ross. She's another little animal. mainly jiu-jitsu, which is going into like the striking realm now, and it's really great to see what she's doing with the social media and everything.
Yeah,
but yeah, these kids are absolute savages. I watch them have rounds on the mat, and a lot of them, pound for pound, are better than some of the adults. Like these kids are for real. These kids are going to be something special when they're older.
Yeah, that's why HMAC, I mean, especially in the grappling, HMAC, they're #1 in Scotland at the moment. Obviously, according to UK BJJ rankings, so they're the #1 kids team in Scotland. So
I did not know that, but
that, that,
I think that's pretty good.
yeah. Listen, that's in the rankings. I mean, they always come with a big crowd of kids, and the kids always put on great performances. As I say, we've seen some absolute superstars coming through. Archie, you mentioned Neve and stuff like that. We've seen Ollie coming through, and do you know what I mean? And there's a lot more. There's a lot more. I'm not very good with names, but I can. Every time I see them, they come in. Oh, Stoomboy, yeah. So and
well,
they just
Ollie's 9. I think Ollie's 9, and he's making his sub-only grappling match debut this weekend. I think, this Saturday.
Yeah.
I think that's crazy. I think that is crazy to think like he's that good at 9. That he's getting in the cage for a sub-only match. I think that's phenomenal. And Neve, I don't think is far off at all. I think she'll be there soon. Her and Ollie have some of the most entertaining rounds you see in that gym. They talk to each other. They're like mini Khabibs. They talk to each other while they're smashing each other. It's the best thing ever. So entertaining.
Oh, we absolutely love it. We absolutely love it. So, and it's going to be good to see them obviously this weekend, obviously at Victory. So, obviously anybody that wants to get the details for Victory, head over to the Victory Facebook page. Make sure you get the pay-per-view if you can't make it, and obviously watch these kids, because these kids are fantastic. I mean, to be 9-year-old and to be in a big cage on a sub-only event, as Joe said, is absolutely unbelievable. So, so definitely make sure you're watching that. So let's get back to you, Joe. So obviously your training's going well. Obviously doing a lot of grappling. Striking's already good. I mean, obviously we saw you previously earlier in the year. And striking's good. Striking's a very, very good level.
Yeah,
so
4 times this year. I've been out so far.
Yeah.
This will be my 5th, and I've got a 6th one lined up 3 weeks after. I think. Just under 3 weeks after.
Yeah.
So the striking's good, man. Obviously, it's not some. I was a bit worried going into MMA because I didn't want to negate the striking. Because obviously that's my bread and butter, but I didn't want to negate it. But we've figured out a plan, and it's going really well for us. I'm not negating striking. And I'm not negating grappling either. I'm working both really well and merging them together really well. But the last year for me has been crazy. My debut K1 fight was in March, and since then I've just had my foot on the gas and not stopped. Literally, I got out of the ring in my last fight in August, on the August 27th, after I just won the ISK English title. I'd messaged Ross, and then within the hour he'd gone, Goliath in November. What do you think? And I went, yeah, let's do it. So I've not even gone to sleep after my last fight before I'd taken another fight.
Yeah.
So I'm happy. My first year as a combat sports athlete has been active. I'm very blessed for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's good now. I mean, I remember it a couple of years ago when COVID hit. Obviously, a lot of amateurs. No amateurs were fighting at all. I mean, some professionals were lucky to get fights during COVID. So obviously now the benefit we've got now, or the advantages now, is we're seeing a lot more shows coming up. Shows that weren't there before, like Goliath, just popping up, putting on great shows and stuff like that. So it gives obviously amateurs now a lot more choice, or a lot more options whenever fights come up, and it keeps you active, as you said, 5-6 times a year.
Yeah, well, Goliath will be my 5th fight this year, and I think it's a phenomenal thing, all these shows that people are putting on now, especially letting amateurs showcase the skills. Like these amateur-only events, or mainly amateur events, I think are some of the best events in Scotland, in the UK in general. I think a lot of these events that just have amateurs, or are mostly amateurs, I think are some of the best events in the UK. And I think they're massively overlooked because they have the term amateur. But a lot of people don't realize that some of the amateurs are so entertaining and so high level.
Yeah. We do. We see that every time an event comes up. The amateur fights are sometimes better than the pro fights in a lot of cases.
100%.
Because obviously they come out there, they're putting on a show. And amateurs, again, they come out and they're obviously trying. Do you know what I mean? They want to go out there and they want to put on a show. Do you know what I mean? They want people to remember them, because that's the thing. I mean, you could go. How many MMA events have you been at, or kickboxing, K1 or whatever, and you've watched a load of boring fights, and then suddenly you get two young amateurs coming out, and they just want to kill each other, and it's fucking brings the house down.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of, especially the last event, there was one fight that I didn't find too entertaining. I can't remember which one it was, but it was quite late on in the show. It might have just been because I was tired. It might be a really entertaining fight. But I remember earlier in the show, I was watching one of my teammates go at it. And it was one of the most entertaining fights of the night. Yeah. He absolutely brutalized the guy with leg kicks and swinging everywhere. He's like, that's what I think this sport's all about, is being entertaining. It's an entertaining sport. And I think boring fights, they happen. Sometimes completely by accident. Sometimes you want to go out there and put on a show. But I think a lot of the amateurs are more likely to put on a better fight than the pros.
Yeah. And the thing with the amateurs now as well, I mean, they're so much better now than what they were 5 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Some of the amateurs now would beat pros from 4 or 5 years ago. Not even as long as 4 or 5 pre-COVID. I mean, you're looking at maybe 2-3 years ago. And that's the thing I always say. And again, it's not just in MMA. It's not just in like kickboxing, Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu. I mean, it's everything. And I mean, the level now has went through the roof, which is brilliant. I mean, it's brilliant, especially for even in Scotland, because obviously I see it a lot in Scotland, and for Scottish combat sports, it's never been better.
Yeah, I completely agree. And honestly, I think the whole thing with the amateur level now, I think because you don't get many amateurs like just do it as a hobby now. You get them. They want to go to the top. They want to win UFC titles. They want to win one championship titles. They want to win these big gold belts. And they're not looking for it for a quick paycheck. They want to win, and they want to leave a legacy behind. So I think that's why you're finding so much more, especially in the coming years, you're finding so much more high-level guys at such a amateur level.
Yeah.
And I think that's because there's not many people that come out and just go, I'll fight this weekend for a quick paycheck.
Yeah. Let me ask you the question, because obviously, and again, I hear this at MMA events all the time. So you've got amateur and then you've got pro. Do you think there's a need for a semi-pro? So obviously coming in as an amateur, early amateur, and then just before you hit the pros, go in as a semi-pro, where obviously it then adds in obviously a few different rule sets that before you actually hit the pro. Because once you hit pro, everything's fair game. So do you think there's a need for a semi-pro?
I think it depends, because the thing is, and this is what I find with K1 as well. I mean, K1, I understand why there's a semi-pro. There's amateur K1, semi-pro K1, and pro K1. And I understand that because it lets people get used to the whole like no shin pads before you go pro. Whereas MMA, you're not wearing shin pads anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you'd change to have semi-pro. But if I could see the rule set in front of me and I could look at it and agree with it, then yeah. But personally, I'm not sure what you'd change to have semi-pro MMA.
Yeah.
I think it's good now, but I do agree. Like sometimes you look at amateurs. Like I was watching an amateur, Jack Axworthy, I think his name is.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just turned 6-0 in UKFC. I think it was that. He's bantamweight champ, and I think he's ready to turn pro.
Yeah.
Like I was watching it, I was thinking I think he'll be ready to turn pro, and he's only 6-0 as an amateur, and I think that shows some of the level between these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll watch certain people have their amateur debut and think they've got a while until they turn pro, but then you look at them 5-6 fights in and you think, okay, they're ready for pro. So maybe at that stage is when they go semi-pro, but at the minute, unless there's a rule set has significant change, I don't think so. No, I think we're just good with amateur and pro.
Yeah, as I hear a lot. You probably hear it all the time as well. So everybody talks about it, coaches and do you know what I mean, people in the crowd, people from gyms and stuff like that. So they always mention we've got amateur, we've got pro. Do we have a semi-pro? But then it's getting everybody to agree to the rules because
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, everybody has not different rule sets, but some rules are different at Goliath than they are from On Top or wherever Evolution of Combat, Almighty, and so on. So, so it's getting everybody to agree to a specific rule set, which is the hardest thing. So, try to get everybody around a table is yes, probably a lot more difficult than making up the rules itself. So, what about you then? So obviously, hopefully going to fight a sixth time at the end, near the end of the year. What's next for you, 2023? So obviously 2022 has been unbelievable. So what do you see yourself doing?
2022 has been great. I mean, I made my K1 debut in March, and then I fought in May, took a short notice fight for the week after, and fought again. Then I got an ISK English title fight. I won that in probably what was my best performance yet.
Yeah.
And I got given this. I got given the opportunity at Goliath, and I was honestly so happy when Ross messaged and was like, "You've got to fight Goliath." And then just 2-3 weeks ago, I got given a ISK Five Nations title fight for the 26th of November, which I couldn't turn down. I mean, my belt's quite lonely right now. It's right here next to me. It's quite lonely right now, and I can't leave it alone without a friend. So I need to bring a friend home for it.
Yes,
but looking into 2023, more MMA fights definitely.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe get out one more time in December if I can. Ross might tell me to rest my body, but if I can get out in December, I'll get out in December. I just want to fight.
Yeah.
But 2023, more MMA fights, maybe more K1 fights. I just want to fight. I want to have a more active year than I did this year. Like, look, I want people to look at this year and go, geez, that was nothing compared to next year.
Yeah.
Especially with the level of fights. Because with each fight I win, I'm fighting at a higher level each time. And I know that. I know Seth is no pushover. I know his striking is good. I know his crisp. I watched his last fight, and I know he's got some pop to his shots. I know he'll have some power. I think he'll be the hardest hitter I've faced. But I think I'm prepared for it. Honestly, I do think I'm prepared for it. It could be biased, but as I said, I've trained as hard as I can, and I'm going to keep training as hard as I can. I always think I could do more in the gym, to the point where sometimes I have to go home and go, no, I need to rest my body. But with 2023, I want people to look at this year and go, this was nothing compared to next year. So next year is going to be a fun one, definitely.
Going to be a big year for Joe. So
100%.
Definitely keep an eye out. I mean, this kid's awesome, absolutely brilliant. So he's definitely, you're going to hear a lot of his name going forward. So if you haven't heard already, listen, he's going to make waves, certainly this fight, and then obviously coming fights going forward. So final thing for you then, Joe. So obviously been in the game for a little bit. Again, we talked about some of your training partners, Jamie, Ross, John, and the rest of the guys, male and female at HMAC. But anybody you want to shout out to, any friends, family members, teammates, anything like that?
Yeah, there's a few teammates from my striking down south that have helped me a lot. Finn Cross, Jamie Stinton, Alfie Connor, Corey Frodsham, a lot of them, Keegan Roberts. They're all down south. They work my striking, and they've made me the striker I am today. And it's combining all these different styles and everything, which helps me. And then obviously up top, you have Aaron Legg, Reggie Hingston, Ross Houston, Judo John. You have a lot of these guys that have helped me round off my game and get better in every aspect. And I'm very much looking forward to showing all these guys that their working to me has not gone to waste. So
it's going to be a great show. It's going to be a great show. As I said, it was a great show the last time. As I said, anybody that managed to get to be either at the event or watch the pay-per-view. I mean, Goliath Fight Series put on an unbelievable show. For a first show, Do you know what I mean? It was better than shows that have been around for years.
I must say I was impressed watching the pay-per-view. I've seen shows that have had pay-per-view before and it turned out awful. But I was watching that pay-per-view while I was down south training, and it was really well done and really well run and great quality.
Yeah. So anybody that's going to the show, Glen Pavilion, Dunfermline. So Sunday the 6th of November. So tickets are on sale. Head over to the Goliath Fight Series page and you will get the tickets directly through there. Anybody that won't be able to go to the show, then make sure you get the pay-per-view. Again, the details are also on that Goliath Fight Series page. That's both Facebook and Instagram. So you'll be able to go to either one and get the information directly through there. So make sure you don't miss this. I mean, as I say, the amateur level in Scotland at the moment, I haven't seen it any better than it is at the moment. So, and these kids are going to, I mean, you're going to see some of these kids going on to bigger shows, like the Cage Warriors, Bellator, eventually things like UFC and stuff like that. So we've already got a great Scottish contingency in the UFC at the moment, and it's going to get better over the coming years. So hopefully we're going to see Joe there one day. So
100%.
Let me ask if you had to have an MMA fight with anybody at all, right? Past or present, anybody at all, past or present, regardless of weight, don't anybody at all. Who would you love to stand in front of?
Red panty night, baby. I want Conor McGregor. Realistically, I think a fight lettered. I personally would find entertaining stylistically. I think me versus El Kukui. Nice. I'd love to fight Tony Ferguson.
Nice.
If only we were the same weight. I love Tony Ferguson. He's probably one of my favorite fighters of all time. Yeah. I've had the worst year and a half watching Tony fight. I'm so heartbroken. Yeah. I don't want to see him fight anymore. I'm so heartbroken with it. But
he's done a lot. He's done a lot. Yeah, he's done a lot for the sport. I mean, I'd say it's a good time for him to bow out. I know that he's a fighter, though. He'll want to continue going and fight.
100%.
But as you said, obviously, there comes a time where, do you know what I mean? He's done a lot. He's got a legacy. Do you know what I mean? He's fought some of the fucking unbelievable. I mean, you look at his record, and he's fought some of the best guys that the UFC put out there at that time, and he came at a golden age as well. I mean, you look at the level, the fighters that were around over the last kind of 5 years. I mean, that was the golden age of that division. So
and I think what's more impressive with him is like he won the Ultimate Fighter at 170, and then he went down to 155.
Yes, yeah.
Who does that?
Yes.
Who wins the Ultimate Fighter in a division 15 pounds heavier? And then goes 15 pounds lighter when they finally get to the UFC. That's some crazy shit.
Well, listen, maybe in a few years. I mean, as I say, he doesn't look like he wants to hang it up anytime soon. I think he wants to keep going. So maybe in a few years, Joe Peter-Lee versus Tony Ferguson. Do you know what I mean?
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. There's a lot. Raul Rosas Jr. I want that guy. Right. That guy's 17, making me look bad because he's in the UFC. Raul Rosas Jr., bro, we got to deal with you. I think bantamweight is a division that's on fire right now. I think in amateur and pro level, bantamweight right now is a division that's on fire. I mean, the UFC, you've got this weekend Piotr Jan versus Sean O'Malley. You've got Dillashaw versus Sterling. And I think in the UFC right now, you've got some of the best bantamweights of all time, honestly. Not even in the world right now. I think of all time, some of these bantamweights are phenomenal. And even amateur level, as I mentioned earlier, Jack Axworthy. I think he's going to be a stellar bantamweight in the future. Lewis McGrillen, I think he's a 125er, a pro right now. But I think he'll move up to bantamweight at some point. Lewis McGrillen is one of the hardest hitting flyweights I've seen in years. From the years I've been watching MMA as a fan, Lewis McGrillen has some scary power. There was a clip I watched on Instagram. It just blew up my Instagram. He catches some guy's kick, fires his left hand, and the guy goes flying through the air.
Love it.
These flyweights and bantamweights, and I think I've picked a really good division, to be honest.
Yeah.
I picked a really good division to compete in. At the minute, 60 kilos, but when I go pro, when my future progresses, maybe go down to 57.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I like 60 kilos right now, but my debut was at 66.
Yeah.
That's how much I wanted to fight this year. I didn't wait to go down in weight. I thought, fuck it, why not? Just go straight up to 66.
Yeah.
Fought at 66, but I'm enjoying being a little bit lighter and fighting guys my size now.
Yeah.
So I think the bantamweight division is a good division for me in pro, amateur, and I feel like quite a strong bantamweight as well. Like height wise, I'm not obviously the tallest, but stature, I'm quite strong. I think I'm quite big for the weight.
Yeah. Nah, well, listen, guys, make sure you're watching this 2 weeks. 2 weeks on Sunday. So
2 weeks on Sunday.
So yeah, Sunday the 6th of November. I'll be there at the show like I was the last time. So obviously doing some post-fight interviews, catching up with people. As I said, so a great event. Goliath Fight Series 2. Steve Harris. Well done.
Steve's great. He's been so accommodating and everything. Steve's so great. He's been great to deal with as well. He's not one of these promoters that message you around. He's honestly great. I couldn't thank Steve enough, especially for the opportunity to make my MMA debut. And I'm glad I'm making it on a show like Goliath. I think Goliath is a great show to make your debut on. Yeah. And I've promised Steve I'll put on Fight of the Night for him. So we got to do it.
You know, he was running about. He had a load of work to do the last time. So he was running about. He was doing this. He was doing that. And every now and again, he would come over to me and be like, Stoom, are you all right? And I'm like, yeah, mate, I'm fine. Do you know what I mean? So even though he was doing everything, he wanted to make sure that, do you know what I mean, the stuff that I was doing, have you got somewhere, have you got this? And I'm like, mate, don't worry about me. I've got myself covered. You just obviously do your thing. Do you know what I mean? But that just shows the type of guy he is. As I said, he wants to make sure everybody's enjoying themselves. He wants to make sure everybody is having a good time. He wants to make sure everybody is comfortable. And I say that's just the type of guy he is. So I'd say this Sunday, Sunday the 6th of November is going to be no different. So, so again, another great event, hopefully coming up for Goliath Fight Series. So make sure you're watching, guys. But Joe's going to be on the show. Seth Milne versus Peter-Lee. So, remember the name,
Fight. I can guarantee Fight of the Night.
Yes.
Fight of the Night. I'm never in a boring fight. And that I can promise you. Watch all my fights back. I'm never in a boring fight, and this will not be different. If whatever happens in that cage, it will not be a boring fight. Me and Seth will put on a good fight. I don't know much about Seth. I couldn't see much from his last performance. It was very grappling heavy. That was obviously his opponent's game plan to grapple. I didn't see much from it. But from what I did see, I was quite impressed with him. I'm looking forward to that fight. I'm looking forward to putting on a show. Hopefully, and not even hopefully, I know I'm going 1-0 in MMA, but I'm sorry, Seth. I do apologize for making you 0-2. I wish it was someone else. I really do, because I love Seth. Seth's striking looks really crisp. And from one striker to another, unbiased, I can sit back and go, that looks nice. But it is what it is. I got to deal with it. Nice. You can't pick your opponents.
Yeah. Well, listen, Joe, absolute pleasure. Absolute, but I always love chatting with you guys from HMAC. As I said, you definitely come on the show. As I said, you guys love to chat. I mean, which is absolutely brilliant. So even when I see the guys at the shows and I get chatting, obviously me and my new friend Ross Houston.
I noticed that. I saw you mentioned him on Facebook afterwards, and then I saw you mention him in Aaron's interview after the last Goliath event. Your new best friend Ross Houston.
Yeah, you know what it was, right? I think it was before he got in Bellator, and I remember sending him a friend request, and obviously it kind of went on, and I remember looking through just before I got interviewed with, I think it was Reg, and then I remember looking through my friends list and seeing Ross Houston, and I'm thinking, what? I speak to Ross every time we're at an event. Every single time, and then I was like, "What? He's not even accepted me as a friend." So then, once he accepted me, every time I see him and we do interviews, I'm like, "Yeah, my new best friend, my new friend, Ross Houston." So he must fucking hate it. He's like, "Oh, Stu, I'm going to shut up, man. Stop talking about me." So,
Nah, Ross likes you. Don't worry, Ross. He
yeah.
speaks highly of you.
Nah, he's an awesome guy. Awesome guy. Can't wait to see him out there again. So, yeah,
He's on
Joe.
ADCC this weekend.
Yes, I'm
I
going
think
to
it's
see him on
this
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah. I'm going to get to see
Yeah,
him on
this
Friday.
Friday. Ross is on ADCC, and then he's putting in quite a graft. He's going straight down to Newcastle to support the ones at Victory. So
Yeah.
he's putting in quite a graft. Ross is a great coach. Honestly, he puts in so much effort for us fighters. He's unreal. I can't thank him enough for that, for the effort he puts in for us.
Nah, he is brilliant. We saw him a couple of weeks ago at AGP. We did get to see him obviously out there. And then obviously going to get to see him on Friday again. And then, as you said, straight from Stirling all the way down to Newcastle for Victory the next day. So he's definitely put a lot of miles in that BMW. So he's put a lot of miles on that. So
it's only a new car as well. You didn't get it that long ago.
But he's definitely put a lot of miles on it so far. So, but no, Joe, listen, absolute pleasure. Looking forward to seeing you on the 6th of November.
Thanks for having me on the show, bro.
Listen, enjoy the rest of your training. All right, stay safe.
I will.
And yeah, we'll see you in a couple of weeks, buddy. All right.
See you in a couple of weeks, man. See you.
Thank you.